Hello everybody and welcome to the Radiator Arms, the podcast that keeps a fax machine in the cupboard just in case. Today we have the classic lineup of myself, James, aka JayEmm on cars, to my left, the effervescent Ant from Sports and Touring, and of course, JayEmm and Friends.
Hello, and over there we've got Will the Plank of the Radiator Arms, and JayEmm and Friends too.
Hello everybody, I am indeed him, and he is I.
And today, as a little bit of a palate cleanser after our last episode in which we discussed the joy of EVs and the ones we think are actually quite cool, today we're talking all about engines. The good, the bad, the oily. It's all about internal combustion. All right, gentlemen, what is the last thing that you drove with a combustion engine?
That would be my wife's Renault Clio, probably.
Which is a what?
It is a 2025 vehicle with a 1.6 litre petrol attached to a hybrid electric drivetrain. So I'm sorry to start off with something that's not that thrilling. This is just the reality of life, I'm afraid.
But that's why we keep you around. It's to keep us nice and grounded. And also because cost of entry is not a barrier to enjoyment. There are many great engines out there available at very affordable prices, and some terrible ones at awfully high prices as well. And
speaking of terrible engines, it's actually a great engine. It's the 1.3 litre Rotary engine in the RX8, which for quite some time held the record for the highest specific output of any naturally aspirated internal combustion engine of 178 bhp per litre.
Does it also hold the record for the highest amount of fuel and oil consumed by any naturally aspirated engine?
One has to keep one's apex seals lubricated, so yes, probably. Some people do say though, oh yeah, well it's more like a 2.6, but that's because they're talking about the number of combustion events per revolution.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like saying, oh, well, it's a 500cc two-stroke engine, therefore, it's basically 1,000cc. It's like, well, it's not, is it?
well, let's face it, it's only important when you go racing and somebody turns up with a Rotary and says, it's only a 1 litre, honest, Gov. You go, yeah, it's sort of like the same as sticking a turbo on the side of it. You're like, these does change things somewhat. And I would have to check it. I am convinced that you are correct in terms of a car, that it's the highest specific output.
Of a production car.
To give you some frame of reference, for a little while as a toy, my dad had an old Honda, I think it's NS250R, not to be confused, I think, with the road-going NSR 250, very confusing. What this was is I think, year 2000 250cc Grand Prix bike. So it's a 250cc two-stroke. In parade trim, i.e. this will run for quite a while, you don't have to rebuild it every time you ride it, made 80 horsepower. In race trim, around about 100.
Wow.
From a 250.
How do they manage that?
Well, it doesn't last long.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, first off, yeah, it's a two-stroke. And secondly, I mean, I'm not joking when I say at that trim, when you ride it, you rebuild it. A top-end rebuild, which on a two-stroke is not that bad, but yeah, effectively, you're pulling the thing apart all the time.
So what you're saying is my RX-8 is practically a race car then, because that's the same problem I have with a Rotary.
No, it's far too durable. Far too durable.
What about you, James? What was the last engine
So it was actually, to be fair, I've done myself over here. It was technically my other half's Toyota RAV4 with the 2-litre, 150 horsepower, naturally aspirated engine, who's so exciting, I've forgotten its code. But before that, and over pretty much the entire of the last 2 weeks, I have been driving my new to me Audi RS4 B7 generation with the 4.2 litre naturally aspirated V8, and it is lovely. It's one of those cars where basically you buy the engine and you get the rest of it for free.
Can't wait to have a go in that.
I would say I'll see your next but one engine V8 and raise you a V10, but then I know you've got two V12s to come back at me with.
You have no power here.
Well, the interesting engines that I've driven recently, I suppose, to redeem myself, is I've driven a nice 1.6 litre supercharged engine.
Oh, yes.
In a vehicle of some description.
Yeah. That was the R53 Mini Cooper S, isn't it?
It is. It is indeed.
Which is actually, when it works, a very good engine. Fragile, we all know, but I've got a bit of a soft spot for it.
Yes, it's good power because it had a JCW kit on it as well, so it's about 200 ponies, and it felt really healthy. And of course, the other one is the silky smooth Mercedes 3.2 litre straight six in my C124 E320 coupe.
About as far as you'll get from the little Banzai Mini.
Yes.
And you actually did have, I know only a brief go because it was headed off for its MOT, the Rover.
I did, with its 1.8 litre K-series engine. I think it's got something like Piper cams in it or whatever it is. I think it's about 180 horsepower, isn't it?
Allegedly. Though I did find out something interesting about this car. Now, I don't know if it's still got this. I might have to try and get in touch with the previous owner. But one of the other owners of the car told me when he had it upgraded, and it had a 1.9 litre Scholar bottom end fitted to it.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think that engine got sold. I think that got sold because I looked at some pictures of a listing from years ago, and you can tell the top of the engine is different. There's a different cover on it and a different intake. So I think maybe that engine got sold to somebody else, maybe somebody doing like an Elise build or something like that. I don't know. Probably didn't give any more power, but might have given it a bit more bottom end torque. But that's quite interesting. And it's quite exciting to see what's out there and what can be done for it, because of everything with that car. Actually, the K-Series engine, I know it gets a lot of flack. It's actually a brilliant little thing.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, the thing is Rover actually did some really brilliant design in it. It was an early engine with variable valve timing and stuff like that as well, wasn't it? And they're great engines when they're not blowing head gaskets. But these days, I think there's upgraded multi-layer steel. I'm pretty sure that's got an MLS gasket on it as well.
Yes, it does. I mean, I would be shocked if there's any K-Series left out there which hasn't had the head gasket done. And also, people talk about it like it's a big deal. On most of those cars, even the MGFs I've seen now, you can actually do the head gasket pretty easily. Like it's not like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. It's only if you've ignored it for ages and ages and ages that it becomes a big problem.
Well, one thing I'll tell you is the power delivery was excellent, and it's got a limited slip diff. And I tell you what, it's the first time I think I've driven a front wheel drive car with a limited slip diff, and it hooked up, it chucked me into the middle of the road and said, "Let's go." And I was like,
oh yeah,
good Lord, this is not what I expected. It's a bit of a lunatic, but mind you, I only had about 2 or 3 miles to drive it, and it wasn't fully warm. I couldn't give it the full beans or anything like that. So.
When it's all good to go and we've got it sorted, and I know it's going to be a little longer than we'd like, we'll obviously get you out in it, and you'll have to drive it around track in particular, because I remember the first time I experienced a car with a proper diff. And it was on a Palmer Sport driving day, which we know we talked about on one of the recent podcasts. And I got to drive a Clio Cup car, like full-on Cup. And you go into a bend with that, and you think you're going probably a bit too fast. And then the instructor just leans over and goes, no, foot down. Like, if you think you're not making it, just put your foot down. The diff will do its work. You will get through this bend alive if you remember your training.
The front diffs on those won't really work very well unless they're loaded up in one way or another. Either you're braking or you've got the throttle on. You don't want anything in between. Otherwise, it just washes out.
Yeah, don't go in neutral. But it obviously also takes quite a bit of brain beats instinct, because you have to know that it's going to work. Because obviously, if you go into a corner and the thing starts screaming, your instinct is going to be, I'm going too fast. No. You are fine. You're absolutely fine. So, quick show of hands. What would you choose, gentlemen? Naturally aspirated, turbocharged, or supercharged?
Oh my goodness, that's so hard because there's been so many amazing engines that have been built with all variants. I think the only way you can choose is depending on the application it is in. I mean, well, for instance, the Celica.
Yeah.
That is one of the first proper kind of like old school style turbocharged cars I've driven. You know, nothing. Everything smacks you in the face. That drivetrain in that car, phenomenal. In the Mercedes, I would be irritated beyond all belief if I had that kind of power delivery in that car because of the way the gearbox is and the way it cruises as well. That Mini I drove with the supercharger, phenomenal. The sound, the power delivery, the low down torque, and the way it just went smoothly through, but you're really making some pace. It's difficult, but don't make me choose.
You're wrong. You're just wrong.
Am I wrong? Okay, why am I wrong?
There is only one answer.
What's that?
Naturally aspirated V12. That's it. End of story. I don't care if it's the Aventador engine or if it's the F12 engine. I don't care. Anything that has that high pitched noise, that especially with an exhaust, that sounds like an old school F1 car. If Damani was here, he'd say the Mazda 4-rotor.
Oh, from the 787.
Yeah.
That's quite mighty. Although, it's a race car engine. And I don't think they ever put a 4-rotor in any road car, did they?
Well, just because Mazda didn't do it doesn't mean that people don't do it. Like there's Rob Dahm in the States. He's done a 4-rotor build.
Wasn't he doing a 6-rotor as well? Or somebody was doing a 6-rotor.
Yeah, I think it might be Rob Dahm. He's doing something, or 5-rotor in the back of an SLC kit car.
I've driven a 3-rotor. That was very impressive. I have to say, it's the smoothness of the rotary engine. That's what gets you. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And because of the number of combustion events per revolution, the sound that you get out of it is basically double whatever number of rotors you have.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, I'm yet to drive anything rotary, so we'll have to change it at some point. Or I haven't even been out in a car with a rotary engine, I don't think. I don't even think I've ever been out in a RX-8 or RX-7, anything like that.
Oh, what? Oh, they are really, really good. Like the RX-8, honestly, like I driven one years and years ago, and obviously Damani got his, which turned into Ants, and I borrowed it for a little bit, and I just fell in love with it. Like on paper, it just shouldn't work. On paper, it has so many problems. It's shockingly heavy, considering half the point of a rotary is that it's light. It doesn't have much torque. You need to rev the hell out of it to get it to move, but it just works. It's one of those cars that makes you forget everything you know about numbers and about what should be right, and reminds you that sometimes something just is right. I know we mentioned it briefly in the previous episode, but to me, if you were to take that engine out of that car, if you were to LS swap it or whatever, you'd wind up with a really good car, right? Because it's fundamentally a very, very good thing. But I think you would ruin it, and particularly I know part of the RX-8's magic with that rotary is the engine's so far back into the chassis. So if you were to put something much bigger in there, you're going to ruin the weight balance, and with all the effort in the world, it's not going to feel the same.
Yeah, 50-50 weight distribution on the RX-8, which you can ruin if you put some lowering springs on it and just bring the front rake down, then you lose that, but not by much. But personally, I would choose, as sounds go, I do love the 3 rotors and the 4 rotors. They sound amazing, but I'm not a huge rotary fan. But I am a big V12 fan. And when I had your F12 for a bit, Damani and I took it through the Hatfield tunnel, and it was just like the valves were open, and your exhaust is sensible. It's not
It's
like
factory exhaust.
Factory exhaust, yeah, it's sensible. But valves open, it still just sounds like a symphony.
Yeah, I've got to give you that. That car does sound epic.
Yeah.
It does.
And any of the Aventadors, the SVs or SVJs that have got the Gintani exhaust system on it, or a lesser known company called Secret Weapon, who are based out in Brazil.
You're obsessed.
Honestly, it sounds like an F1 car from like the old V10s. It just sounds incredible.
Well, we have to talk about the Ferrari 355 engine as well.
Oh, yeah. You know what? In terms of numbers, also quite disappointing. I'm certain it does not make the 380 horsepower that they claim, but it's also another one, a bit like the Rotary, where you just don't care. No. It spins up so freely and so quickly, and it also does make, in the process, I think, maybe the best noise of any engine ever.
Is that a flat plane crank engine, is it?
Yes. Yeah. That's chiefly what differentiates the Ferrari V8s from Maserati V8s and most other V8s. You know, any American sounding V8 will be a cross plane crank. Ferrari's flat plane, and each method has its advantages and disadvantages. You know, there are plenty of drawbacks to doing a flat plane crank. Although now, of course, the Americans have got in on the act because Chevrolet have now got the new, is it 5.5 litre?
It's in the C8, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, the Z06. Yeah. And they've then turbocharged it as well, I think, for the ZR1, the turbo and hybridized it for the ZR1X. I mean, that's hypercar levels of performance.
Oh, it's bonkers, like 1,000 horsepower, isn't it?
Yeah, the ZR1's 1,000 horsepower. I think the ZR1X is like 1,200 or something like that. It's absolutely incredible. So, all right, lads, there's a few examples of great engines and things that we love. What is it about an engine that makes you, because, you know, most cars that we drive, you know, not all, but most cars have an engine. Okay, some of them will just have, you know, electric motors. But for those that do, what are the things that you look for? What are the things that make you fall in love or despise an engine?
I think part of it is always going to be the sound of it. It is got to be the way it delivers its power as well. You know, that's one of the reasons why I've loved TDI engines for so long, is because, you know, they're very effortless down low. You know, like when I had my 1.9 TDI in my Golf, I really loved that engine, especially with the 5-speed manual gearbox, because it was just kind of very effortless to drive. I mean, okay, sure, you ran out of power about 4,000 RPM, but it just meant general cruising and then overtaking power and things like that was pretty good. It's with any engine, I suppose, it's what engine has the least compromises in the way it delivers its power, I suppose, can be dealt with against fuel economy. Maybe. Am I being too sensible?
No such thing. It's rare that I'll say that. But yeah, I mean, I think actually, if you were to draw up a list of the greatest engines, I think the later PD, of course, is just a mighty engine. I mean, it's certainly in standard guise, like nearly unburstable. Yeah. You know, that term is bandied around a lot, but I think the PD earns it. You know, that's one of those engines. It appeared in everything and it was a bit ubiquitous, and it's not exactly a great sounding engine, but it just does the job. Like if you want, you know, the faithful family retainer of engines, a VW PD, pretty hard to beat.
It's got to be up there with the BMW straight six from the 90s / early 2000s.
Yeah, the M50 lineage, as I had in my E46. Which that was the M54, 3 litre, 230 horsepower, absolutely silky smooth, torque curve that was just perfect 45-degree angle, you know, it's a power curve, 45-degree angle, torque, nice and flat throughout most of the rev range, and just maybe not the most exciting engine in the world, but in terms of refinement, brilliant. And there's nothing sounds quite like a BMW straight six. You know, even today, if somebody starts one of those engines, you hear it and you go, I know exactly what
I know exactly what you mean. It's because I had one in my E39 5 Series back in the day, and that was one of my favourite engines ever. The Merc is pretty close in that, because obviously they're straight sixes as well, similar output, kind of in both power and you know, displacement. Wow. But I still think the BMW straight six is better than the Merc one.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent the Golf as well, because, you know, every time I see somebody falling down some metal stairs with a bag of washers and bolts, I do have to check that it isn't somebody starting up a glorious old Volkswagen turbo diesel.
Yeah.
And what do you go looking for in an engine?
I would say sound first and foremost. I know it's ridiculous, but it is the sound that gives the emotion to the car, in my view. And of course, performance as well. And, you know, one of the great things about a naturally aspirated engine is you have that more linear progression of the power. I mean, obviously the torque tails off eventually at some point, but there is something nice about that. It's the predictability of it. and I appreciate that. Obviously, I'm not against turbo engines, and I think they're great. And if you want big power, that's what you're going to have to do ultimately. But the overall sound, the feel, the smoothness, NA is my thing. And actually, apart from, in terms of piston engines, I would say, I'm just trying to think what I've owned. It's like two V10s, a V6, another V6.
Yeah. What's in the ST24?
V6.
Yeah.
That's the Duratec V6, 2.5 litre back in the day. Same lineage as the engine used in the Noble.
Yep.
And before that, the 2 litre SI, so that was a 4-cylinder. So I basically, I don't think I've owned a car that wasn't a V configuration car since 1998.
Wow. That's quite some time.
Apart from the Rotary, but that's out of the piston engine cars. It was a V6, another V6, another V6, a V10, and another V10.
This is part of the reason I think that you really need to own a V8.
I do. I really do need a V8 in my life.
Yeah, there's something special about a V8. But before we talk about that, what's the worst engine you've ever experienced? Like the one that if you could wipe it from the planet Earth, you'd consider it a good deed done for humanity.
It's the one which, for me, happened to be in an MG3. It's just the entire car was dreadful. And the drivetrain, it was just, the way it delivered its powers, it was just nothing, a little bit slightly less on the nothing, and then just disappointment. It was the 1.5 litre petrol engine. And I think, as we've said before, the reason I was so disappointed was because this is a car that is in, 2024 maybe, still had a naturally aspirated engine when there are some absolutely donking 3-cylinder turbo engines. Actually, I think the 3-cylinder turbo has got to be up there as one of the best engines, in my opinion, because in the right car, they make a great noise, and the way the power comes on is actually kind of quite nice and quite enjoyable. Even if it isn't loads, they're usually very sprightly, willing to go, willing to rev, and kind of, you're putting like 20 plus PSI from this tiny little turbo into these tiny little engines. But yeah, this car, which should have had one of those engines, had a very disappointing, probably 30-year-old designed 1.5.
Is it an evolution of the K series in there?
Do you know what? I don't know what it was, but I think it wasn't helped by the fact the gearbox was awful, the suspension was awful. It had a bunch of Volkswagen chimes in an MG car, and I honestly, I think I would have rather had a colonoscopy than driven that car for another mile.
So it's basically a bit of a mongrel all round, and the engine was just the slightly off-smelling cherry on a rubbish cake.
The problem was you try to pull away, even in like 4th or 5th, some other like kind of naturally aspirated smaller engines will have a little bit of something. It'll kind of want to start going. Okay, you might have to put it down 1 gear, then it goes. No, you had to put it down a minimum of 2 gears for it to bloody go anywhere.
That's a bit disappointing.
So yeah, even though there's probably nothing intrinsically wrong with it, I think it could have been just the car it was in and just maybe the tuning on it. It disappointed me.
And
I think my experience might have been so bad that I wiped the details from my memory, but I vaguely recall driving a diesel and thinking, I don't understand why people bother. What was it? And I think it like revved to like 4,500 RPM or something.
Oh, so it's a sporty one.
Yeah. What was it? It might have been a car that I was helping you with drive-bys for or something. I can't remember.
It wasn't the Golf, was it?
No, I don't think I've ever driven the Golf.
You have.
Have I?
Yeah, you have.
Oh, that'll be it then. I told you I wiped it from my memory.
There you go.
I didn't want to hate the car. I wanted to love it, but
Ship's memory bank's been wiped clean. It's just a golf-shaped hole in the data banks.
The thing is, I understand why people have diesel engines, because obviously you can do a lot of miles for not so many gallons. And it makes sense as a long distance workhorse, but for anything vaguely entertaining, not really. I mean, this is the reason why that Audi actually ran diesel engines in Le Mans in the R8 that they ran at the time.
It's economy.
It was so they had to make fewer pit stops. It wasn't because it was a better engine in any other way other than fewer pit stops.
Do you know what? I think I've thought of the best way to describe a lot of the TDIs. As you say, they're not very entertaining or not always that interesting, but sometimes they're just very satisfying to use. If you can understand, like, as I said, easy to go, easy to get in. It's nice, it's simple, it's satisfying. Even if it's not like an exciting feeling, it's like, yeah. When you slip into a new set of shoes and you don't have to break them in, satisfying. You know, when you've got something out the microwave and it's just the right temperature, satisfying.
No, do you know the problem, right, with your turbo diesels like that, is that there is no greater destroyer of hope. Because you get in them, you turn the thing on, you're greeted with the clatter of a slightly poorly cement mixer, right? And then you start to move off, and sometimes there's a bit of promise. Sometimes you go, do you know what, actually, this is all right.
And then you run out of revs.
It's not the most, you think like, well, actually, you put your foot down a little bit, you go, this is pretty good, you know. And then eventually you find yourself on a nice bit of road and you go, right, okay, I've only been asking a little bit of it thus far. Let's see what she's got. And then you find out very quickly that what you were having was indeed all that it got. So it's kind of like putting on a lovely, nice new pair of running shoes that somehow don't need breaking in, going out, yeah, do you know what? I'm having that 10K today. And then remembering you are indeed still a fat bastard and not Linford Christie. They're just, and to be fair, this is not just turbo diesels, but they are the worst for it because they do deliver basically everything they've got at about 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, and then after that they're done. I think maybe the most hateful engine I ever drove for any meaningful period of time was in a Defender, and this did not help endear me to the Defender in general. And it was one of the last of the old shape cars. And it was, I think, the 2.2. And what's remarkable / terrifying, delete as applicable about that, is everybody was telling us this was actually the much, much better engine over the old one. Maybe it was a 2.4, I don't know. Either way, this engine had come from a Transit, okay? And somehow, Land Rover made it much worse because below about 1,500 RPM, it felt like it just had nothing, just nothing at all. You get to about 1,800 RPM and it started to pick up some speed and go. And by 3,000 RPM, it felt like the pistons were going to pop out the top of the thing. It had the narrowest window. You know when you see truck drivers and they don't have a red line so much, they've got a green line on their tacho, on the rev counter, sorry, where it's like, keep in this 500 RPM band. Any deviation will be punished swiftly and harshly. It was like that. It's like, how do you have no go at all and no appetite to rev, no power, and it wasn't even economical? It was like the holy trinity of terrible, and it was in a rubbish car.
You're describing my Volkswagen Transporter that I used to have. Apart from the rubbish bit, it was great. But the van, honestly, it had a 68 horsepower diesel engine. It had a turbo on it, but it might as well not have.
Yeah.
You never really felt the effects of the turbo. You just felt it move. But
I'm just going to say, I'm banning you both from talking about vans from this point forward for the rest of this episode. That's your only van allowance for the whole episode.
You've played
it. The reason is because our first ever episode, once you two started talking about vans, that was it. It was all over. The whole topic had shifted to vans.
Yeah. But if I may say, the whole point of a van is that you know the entire thing is rubbish.
Yes.
And the joy you derive is from basically treating it utterly and totally despicably at every moment, and it takes it. And indeed, the purpose of diesel in the early days, and people forget this, the purpose wasn't really even torque or anything like that, although it's always been a great benefit of the fact it has low down torque, which has of course made it ideal for things like towing, stuff like that, larger cars, that makes sense. And the purpose wasn't even economy. The purpose was durability.
Yeah.
The whole point of a diesel was, yes, it was clattery, it wasn't that great, it didn't have many power, but it would go and go and go, especially in the pre-turbo days. And, my dad always ran a fleet of vans for his company, is what he did. But as soon as they started trying to get big power out of them, they were always breaking. I mean, and look, basically there is, nothing gets treated worse than a van, right? Even rental cars have a hard life, but not as hard life as a van. And a rental van, forget it, right? But they're supposed to last. That sort of changed. Companies tried to make diesels sexy. Sometimes it sort of worked. I still remember very fondly my friend Henry's dad when he had a BMW 535D back in the mid-2000s, the E60 generation. That was I mean, it's funny, I drove one a while back and it wasn't that quick at all. But I remember in its time, that was a rocket ship.
Probably.
Yeah, my good friend Harry, he's got an F11 530D touring, and he has since had his fettled with, and certain bits of the emission system, I think, might have fallen off. I'm not sure, can't confirm. I'm not a police officer. But what I do know is he had it mapped, and he says it's pretty brilliant now. It's very, because it's got the ZF8 speed with it as well. They shift smart, and it's pretty kind of like, it just goes. Relentless power to a point kind of thing.
Yeah. Also on my automotive bucket list, I still want to drive something with the VW V10 diesel.
Oh. Okay.
So that would be the Audi A8 or the
Touareg, isn't it?
The Touareg, yeah. And Phaeton as well. Phaeton in general is a car I kind of think maybe at some point I have to own.
I think it would suit you.
Yeah.
I quite like them.
They are really cool, aren't they?
Yeah.
How will your bank manager feel about that?
I mean, he's already depressed, so I don't think it'd make a difference. So, yeah, I mean, I have driven the holy grail of diesels, which is the V12.
Who made the V12 diesel?
Audi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What was that?
The Q7. Yeah. Audi made a Q7 V12 diesel.
I missed that. Is that you got a review on the channel?
Yep.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's an old video. This is pre-COVID.
I'll definitely go and watch it. You'll love it.
Yeah.
He'll hate you watching it.
Yeah, I will. I really will. But basically, I think to celebrate their success at Le Mans with the R8, they decided to build a V12. Now, I think their marketing would have you believe that they basically took the engine out of a race car and put it in a Q7. That's not at all what happened. It's, I think, effectively a long version of the V8 diesel that they had. So just, 50% more for your money. And it's a very curious thing because it's a very, very busy idle. Like, you can hear that there's a lot going on in there. And it's not exactly fast. Part of that's because it's in a massive Q7 and the engine's got to weigh half a ton. But it just gives you that relentless feeling. It just builds and builds and builds. And apparently they're massively restricted from the factory to obviously give the gearbox like a fighting chance of surviving. But if you do want to, pays you money and takes your choice, you can uncork them and they'll make stupid power and, most importantly, torque. Like, they're absolute monsters.
So, diesels for torque, then. That's a good place to think about it. If you want a torque experience, get a diesel.
Yeah.
But I think we might have lost people because I think most people want to hear about the great petrol engines. They want to hear about the stuff which really gets your pants on fire.
All right.
LFA.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say, but I mean, he's right, absolutely right. What I was going to say is, okay, what about the great engines in affordable cars?
Well, I know our good friend Ben the Spark will be happy to hear about this, but obviously those 2.5 litre 5-cylinder engines in like the Focus STs, was it, or the Focus RS?
Both, both Mark II, Focus ST, Focus RS, Volvo derived,
Yes.
of course, and Volvo had it in many different configurations.
Yeah, my dad had a naturally aspirated 2.4 5-cylinder in his S80, and I remember that sounding absolutely glorious.
Yep.
It was very smooth. It was a comfortable car. And the engine was quiet when you wanted it to be, but as soon as you put your foot down, you got a little bit of that 5-cylinder hum. And yeah, 5 cylinders, great.
Our good friend Doug at Nightfall Drives has a C30, the Twilight car, with the same 2.4 5-cylinder in it.
Is it a manual?
It is, I believe, yeah. Yeah.
I kind of want to experience that.
Oh, I'll ask him for you.
Yes, please.
Yes, that's quite a cool little thing.
I love the C30 in general, so
Yeah. Also, the Lupo GTI with its firecracker little engine. That's just fantastic. It's just so keen to rev.
was that a 1.8T or was that a 1.6 litre in the Lupo GTI?
No, it's naturally aspirated.
It was naturally aspirated, was it?
Yeah.
So that must be the 120 horsepower, 1.6 16 valve?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah. It's just so good. And
Affordable or affordable and practical, and how affordable?
no, just affordable. Affordable, let's just call it sub 20 grand, just for sake of argument, that you can buy now.
Oh, wow. Well, I love the S2000.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean,
famous for its engine.
Yeah.
Right? Like engine and gearbox is what people talk about when they talk about S2000.
but it's dangerous. It's dangerous because you can't help but chase that is it 9,000? 9 and a bit thousand?
9,000, yeah.
9,000 RPM red line. You can't help it. And because of the VTEC,
Yeah.
when the VTEC kicks in, it kind of catches you out because it's almost a bit like turbo lag in the way that you experience it. And then as it's pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling harder, and you're like, I want that 9,000 RPM. And then you're so concentrated on hitting that 9,000 RPM that you might not be paying as much attention to the rest of the road. It's intoxicating.
And surprisingly different power delivery to the RX-8. On paper, both spin to 9,000 RPM, both give their power very, very high in the rev range. I think officially the peak power is over 8 for both of them.
Yeah.
And yet the RX-8 is much smoother. There is still a step in the power delivery. You do get more at the end, but it's nowhere near as abrupt as the S2000 is very much, you get to 6,000 RPM and it goes, oh, lads, wake up, we've work to be done. It's almost a bit like the RX-7, which we both recently drove. We got to drive a late model FD RX-7, barring an exhaust, completely standard. And again, even though I think on paper that was only 260 horsepower or so.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Oh my word, that was so good.
Well, I know a car you both drove recently. Was it the E90 or E92
M3
V8?
And you know what? You can have one of those for less than 20 grand.
That's true.
And, oh my life. Oh my goodness. You've not driven one of those, have you?
I have never driven one of those.
Do you want to?
I would like to at some point. That would be lovely.
Yeah, we can organise that.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, we can organise that easily, actually. Probably next week. So yeah, that can be done. Because that to me again is, as a package, that's just one of the all-time greats. Like the engine is magnificent. You got a choice of 2 pretty good gearboxes, and the car it's attached to is superb. But that's from a real golden era, I think, where manufacturers were just going all in, and they were just what they were doing. They were selling engines attached to cars. That's what they were all about. I mean, you had that in the M3. You had the 5-litre V10, which is also just magnificent. And if you really want to play the risky game, buy yourself an M5 or an M6 for under 20 grand, and you have access to one of the best engines ever made. Unfortunately, one of the iffiest gearboxes as well. But the engine is good enough that you kind of forget about the gearbox. And I think well set up, the gearbox is actually probably decent. I think the last one I drove, the gearbox wasn't right. But yeah, and of course Audi then had V10s that were sticking in everything left, right and centre. It wasn't just R8s. They had it in the is it the S6 and the RS6? The RS6 got the turbo and the S8 as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, and all of those, the RS6 I think commands a bit of money, but S6 you can have for relatively little money. S8 you can have for relatively little money.
We're missing one of the best engines that we've been trying to get Ant to get into. VR6.
Yeah,
Corrado, and obviously things like the TTs. They had the Quattro TTs.
R32, I think, is where most people would know that. Again, see that?
The R32 Golf.
Yes.
Right.
Not the R32 Golf.
Because I was going to get us onto the RBE engines.
Oh, yes, we need to do that.
Carry on.
No, but again, see, that's also, you have, of course, both the Golf and the Clio V6. Clio V6 being a much more extreme take on the formula, but cars where your pub bore will tell you and go, oh, there's not really much point buying an R32, you see, because with the extra weight and the power out of the turbocharged 4-cylinder, a GTI is just as quick. And you go, yeah,
and
I know. like, but I want the VR6. It's just so much better. It's smoother. It's more responsive because it's naturally aspirated. It's got that lovely spread of torque and power. And let's be honest here, you don't care about any of that. It's all about the noise.
Well, we had a Mark 1 TT 3.2 Quattro for a while, and it wasn't the best driving car. You know, it was one of those where the DSG was an early one. It was a bit naff sometimes, but the engine, my goodness, it sounded great. It pulled great. I wouldn't have cared if you would have said, oh, you could get the 1.8 turbo TT and you know, you could map it up to 300 horsepower, it'd be quicker. I don't care. That engine was just excellent.
Yeah, it elevates the experience,
Yes.
doesn't it? You just feel like, even though it's almost certainly a placebo, you just feel like everything in the car's a little bit better for the presence of another cylinder or two.
Oh, yes.
Oh, magnificent.
The thing is, though, like, what is it about, when you think about it, we shouldn't need all of this extra stuff, the sound. I think also sound and the way it feels through your right pedal and the vibrations through the car are a factor as well.
Those are really important, actually.
Yeah, but why is that? It's like, and I think it's because it interacts with us across multiple sensations that we have.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the sound, you've got the feel of it through the engine. Like some engines are smoother, some are more not rattly, but you know what? Well, in the case of a diesel, but you know what I mean. Like more have more vibration.
Yes.
Part of that's to do with the engine mounts and the chassis itself and all that other stuff. But all of it's connecting with us and it's creating these emotional responses that you just can't get with modern cars that are either EVs or so smooth and quiet that they might as well be an EV.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is very, very true. But I think, you know, part of it maybe for some of us is because, you know, loud noises equals race car. But I think it's a lot more complicated than that. I think particularly when you're talking about a car where the engine is obviously the star, you are an enthusiastic driver. I think first off, having a car where the noise changes as you go through the rev range, that's a really important part of it. Because, yeah, you get all these, like, you know, like a Golf or a VW, the 888. It's a very, very good engine. Like, it's a very, very dependable engine. It's been in basically everything, and it makes very good power, and it's reasonably economical for what it is. But there's no real reward for taking it to the red line. There's no gift waiting at the top of that for you. Whereas, particularly in a naturally aspirated engine, particularly one that's got more than 4 cylinders in it, as you work your way through that rev line, you know, through the rev range, the whole thing changes in character. Yeah. You know, I mean, to take, say, something like the Scuderia, which I admit is an extreme example, it doesn't really have much at all below about 3,000 RPM, but you hit that and you get almost like a VTEC like crossover where the thing kind of comes alive. And then you get to like about 5 and a bit thousand RPM and you feel it really sort of start to dig in. And then when you get to sort of like about 7,000 RPM and you think it's probably going to be ready to sort of, you know, change up, it goes even harder for it. And that's just, and because you don't do that all the time, I think it's that delayed gratification thing, you know, because you aren't always experiencing the engine at its best. When you do, it's just like manna from heaven delivered straight into your ears and through your right foot.
Well, I can agree with you on that because I've only driven the Scud once, and that's for about 45 minutes or so. But that is what I would like to say for me, a core memory that will be with me kind of forever, because that car, that engine, that transmission, the whole package, that was bloody phenomenal. That, I mean, you remember my reactions when I was driving that. It was like disbelief and like just screaming like, oh my God, kind of thing. Because even though it's not the fastest car I've ever driven, the F12 is way faster. The whole experience of that car was just sensational. Absolutely epic. And that engine, the way it would cut over and move on, then especially when you nail the gear shifts as well.
That's a really good example of where you get you can almost feel the engine through the seats and through your hands and through your feet. Obviously, the fact that it's just metal floors and no carpet.
Well, yeah, especially
helps.
as my engine mounts were shagged. So, yeah.
But, well, are they sorted now?
They're now sorted.
Now, so all right,
I'm sure you'll be bitterly disappointed next time you drive it.
I doubt it. They weren't shagged the whole time, surely.
They've been gone for a while, I think.
I don't know. I remember not buying it. I remember when you bought it, I got to drive it like in the next weeks. Me and Damani went off to film a load of stuff with it.
It was never quite as smooth as the previous one, as the grey one. But I think they've been on their way out for a little while. But yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure there's still some sensation still coming through. That's a really good example of a car that I think is kind of connecting with you in a tactile way.
It's visceral.
Visceral, that's the word. There you go. Yeah. Visceral. Thank you, James Thesaurus Martin.
No, because you can have cars which are technically very, very impressive, but do just lack a little bit of that connection, a little bit of that drama. You know, a lot of very fast EVs can be like that, you know, because they're just very well refined.
Well, you know what? The first EV I drove was that Cupra Born.
Yeah.
And it was boring. I know I only had it 15, 20 minutes. It was quick, but it did nothing for me.
Yeah, but it's not the EV. It's any modern car.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But it was just quick, and I was like, okay, cool. It's there, but there's not like, you know, it's not interesting, the power delivery in it.
Yeah. God, what did I drive recently? There was some modern, very new car that I drove, and I can't remember what it was. Again, I probably blanked it out of my brain. But I just remember thinking, this might as well just be an EV. You just can't hear anything. There's nothing going on.
There's a few like that. But back to the sexy, exciting stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Japanese engines.
Yeah.
Now, because here's a fascinating thing. I found out when I did my piece on V12s, America has not produced a V12 since, I believe, 1948.
Wow.
And they actually produced a lot of them. You know, in sort of the pre-Second World War, they built a whole bunch of them because, you know, they were really going for the luxury thing. So they did all sorts of crazy stuff, you know, straight eights and various different things. Japan, of course, has only ever built one V12, and that's the one that went into the Toyota Century, second generation, which I have experienced. And I love that engine because basically it's Toyota just built it, and they were like, what's the smoothest possible engine we could make? Like, V12, done. Stick it in. Like, yeah, job's a good one. Actually, I tell you what I drove the other day, and you would go nuts for it. And honestly, if I had the money and I hadn't already sorted the Merc for you, I would have got it for you. A Jaguar XJ RS, which is the sort of lightweight, the Jaguar Sport version of the XJS with the body kit and things on it. And this had the 5.3 litre in it. And it's just, oh my goodness. And that, by the way, up for sale for 15 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, so potential new daily for you there, Ant. Although, yeah, the fuel economy, if you thought the Merc was bad, like, this is like war crimes bad. Like, this is horrendous. Like, in the 90s, people used to complain about the fuel economy of them. I think when they brought in the high-efficiency version of the engine, that took the fuel economy from 11 to 12 to the gallon.
Oh, God. Sorry, what engine was this, sorry?
This is the 5.3 litre V12 in the Jaguar XJS.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I don't think I could afford to run that.
No. And a scary engine bay. The scariest engine bay, I think, ever made, because it just looks like something that's going to bankrupt you. Although apparently, but it's actually not that bad, and you can see everything. So when you understand it, it's okay. It just looks like a complete and total nightmare. And it is also, unfortunately, attached to one of the worst gearboxes in modern memory, which is the old 3-speed Chrysler, I think it is. Horrid thing. Destroyer of dreams. But
we were talking about Japanese engines.
You mentioned the RB.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the last one was the RB26, wasn't it?
Have you driven an RB?
No. However,
yeah,
as it happens, just over lunch, I was having a conversation with a certain company in Tokyo.
Ooh.
Because me and Damani are going to be together in Tokyo as of next week. Well, probably been there and come back by the time any listeners or watchers see this or hear this. And yeah, we're going to be renting a R34
nice.
GTR.
Oh man.
I won't tell you what color, but I'm sure you can imagine.
Oh, don't you bitch.
No, I was going to go for the Bayside blue. I was going to, but I'm getting the white one.
Okay, yeah, that's very on brand, isn't it? Yeah.
On brand, staying on brand. And so that would be my first time driving a R34 GTR.
So is that RB26 DTT or DT?
Yes.
Yeah, twin turbo ones.
Twin
Yeah.
turbo, I think.
Oh man, I want to tell you that it's going to be a bitter disappointment and don't get your hopes up, but like, no, it's not.
It won't.
It's not.
It won't. I'm going to be, listen, and the thing is, right, this is so frustrating. I found a company that had a 240Z
Yeah.
with, I think it was an RB25 engine swap in it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In the Wangan Midnight Devil Z
Oh.
or Akuma Nozetto,
Yeah.
the Devil Z format. So anyone who's not seen it, Wangan Midnight is a anime series that features a 240Z that basically tries to kill its owners. Not like in a horror movie way, but as in it's so, temperamental to drive. And they had that, but it was in Osaka, which is like a million miles away. And it wasn't available on the dates anyway. But I would have, my dream would be to drive the Wangan Highway in a like midnight blue 240Z.
Oh, man. Next time. Am I permitted a minor deviation? Because you reminded me of something that I haven't told, I think, either of you.
Okay, go.
So obviously a few weeks ago, we had the absolute pleasure of living with Nissan UK's very own Datsun 240Z.
Yes.
Which has a very nice engine of its own. A sort of very early overhead cam, straight six, which was really, really pleasant. Unfortunately, it did need a bit of tuning, which they apparently have now sorted. I think what I didn't tell you was that the day before it was going to be collected, I was getting all of my stuff out of it. And I went to shut the boot. For those who don't know the car, it's a hatchbacky type thing. And I put the boot down. Obviously, it's an old car, so you can't be gentle with it. Like, there's an amount of force required. Anyway, I shut the boot, and there was a metallic clang. And I was like, what the hell was that? And I looked, and basically a piece of chrome strip fell off the car as I shut the boot. So I picked it up, and it's like a sort of, about 7 or 8 inch long sort of type piece of chrome. And I was looking at it, I was like, well, where the hell's this come off? Because I need to tell Nissan this has happened and apologise and everything. And I know they'll be okay with it because it just happened, right? Well, what's it come off? And I spent a good 5 minutes trying to look at the back of it, going, well, it's come off the right side of the car, I know, because I kind of saw it fall off. But I was trying to match it up to something on the left side, and I just couldn't do it. And then I realised it's a little decorative strip that goes in the middle of the rear light cluster and breaks it up. And the reason I couldn't find it is that it's already fallen off the left-hand side. So I had to phone Nissan and go, guys, good news, bad news. Good news, a piece of your trim did fall off, but I managed to rescue it because it did it on the driveway. The bad news is that the other piece of trim could be anywhere in East Anglia, or indeed anywhere between East Anglia and the Nissan HQ, which is about 150 miles away. So I'm so sorry. I never saw it come off. I need to check back the footage and see if it was ever even attached to when we had the car, because maybe it wasn't. Maybe it fell off before we got it. But I was like, oh no.
Oh, I had it for a bit as well. So
yeah, you did.
It could be anywhere.
Yeah.
London.
Yeah,
Who knows?
exactly.
Silverstone.
Yeah, so if just keep an eye out. If anybody outside your house has a flat tire and there's a piece of chrome sticking out their wheel, just grab it, will you? It might be really hard to get.
Oh, that's hilarious. But engines-wise, yeah, I'm really looking forward to experiencing the R34.
Yeah, is it standard? Do you know?
I think so. I think it's pretty standard.
Okay, so
I don't think it's
'cause
been like mad tuned or anything.
Hopefully next year we'll also be able to get one here as well. So maybe even you'll be able to go a mighty legendary GTR.
What about 1Js and 2Js engines?
Oh,
Like that?
superb. I'll tell you what. Look, the RB's brilliant, and it's a charismatic engine. I think as turbo engines go, if you were going to make a case for a turbo engine, I think you'd probably start with an RB. Mm-hmm. But it's not actually the most durable.
Smoky Nagata disagrees.
Yeah, but his aren't standard.
No, but so the very famous Supra, the golden Supra that he did the 200 mile an hour, quote, 197 miles an hour, M1 run back in the day, that was an RB26 that had been, I think...
I thought that was a V12.
No. The first. No. I don't think it was a V12 at all.
I remember something about a V12. I think
I thought the one. Do you mean the one he did 200 mile an hour here in?
Was it the V12?
Because I'm sure he famously came here with his V12 Supra and basically did 200 mile an hour up the M1, and the police nicked him and were like,
yeah, actually, maybe
"What
the
are you
one that
doing?"
he brought here, but actually I literally watched a documentary about this just the other day.
Oh,
Auto Shenanigans did one.
Did
yeah,
they?
he did a thing on it as well.
He did. You're right.
I watched the full documentary.
So
the original.
I mean, look, the RB is also a great engine, and I don't tend to hear of it going bang all that much. But I think you cannot argue that as tuner engines go, the JZs are. And actually, I've got quite the thing for the 1J. For those who don't speak it, the 1JZ is the 2.5 litre variant, and the 2JZ is the 3 litre variant, as you would see in like Mark IV Supra. And I quite like it as a naturally aspirated engine as well.
1J came with the chasers a lot, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I just confirmed from various sources, including the AI.
Yeah, the AI. What does the AI say?
Oh, it says RB26. Hold on. Smoking a guard set, no big ring, top secret, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
He replaced the 2JZ.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Z, with a Nissan-derived RB26 from the Skyline, rumoured to be 1,000 horsepower, known as the Outlaw car. The V12 followed the sale of the RB Supra to a Dubai Prince.
Oh, so is it the RB that did the run, then he made the V12?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, anything can make 1,000 horsepower. It's just a case of how long it'll make it for. But yeah, there's also, again, as another one of those cars where you can identify the sound of a 1J or a 2J just instantly.
Yeah.
Like you just know what it is. I'm just... The only real disappointment is that they were not attached to a manual anywhere near enough as they should have been. And the gearboxes now are incredibly hard to find. I think it's a 154 box or something like that. Memory's shaky.
I think a lot of people who convert them use Toyota gearboxes. Is it Supra gearbox or something like that?
Yeah. Well, this is the problem, is that basically it's the gearbox that goes in the Supra. And I was trying to think as well. I drove a car not too long ago, and they're like, yeah, this has the same gearbox as in the Supra, which at one point in time you could get really easily, and now you can't, because it's what everyone used to do conversions, and it's really blooming expensive. So yeah, that's just magnificent. Like, it's just, and got to give some praise as well, because it's, sometimes overlooked. The Lexus V8. What a trooper. Not maybe in some guys is the sexiest engine, particularly in like the LS400 and that. But when they put it in the LC500, which was quite a different engine a bit later, the 5 litre variant, like, oh, that's a special engine. And again, like on paper, like, yeah, maybe not the best thing ever, but actually it sounds good. It goes well. Got lots of character too. You really got to rev it. But I know at the beginning I mentioned the Ferrari V12s, and there are a great many engines out there. I know we've not even spoken about Porsche's Flat 6. What an iconic engine.
God, yeah, that's true.
The Flat 6. The Beetle's iconic Flat 4. And I think maybe this is the whole point. Like, it's the wondrous variety of engines means that even in an hour we can't even begin to talk about some of them. Explains just how it is that we've become so obsessed with them. And I don't think it's just marketing departments telling us, buy this because it's better. It's like, no, they had soul. Like, if a car has a soul, I think it comes from the engine.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that is why EVs do struggle a little bit sometimes.
Well, it's one of the things that while as we know now, I own an EV and I enjoy the electric drivetrain, I will still always love a really good petrol engine. I will never not love them. It's one of those things where, for me, I want to have both. I want to have my EV for my poodling about, my daily stuff, and I want to have something interesting to drive on the weekends or when it fancies me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, are there any engines that should get honourable mentions before we wrap up? And I'm going to start with one, and that is the V10 from the Viper. I can't remember the name of the engine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty magnificent, isn't it?
I want to say, like, the little silly... is it a 2-cylinder in the Fiat 126 and stuff like that? Those silly things, because they're hilarious.
Hateful piece of shit.
Yeah, but sometimes a really crap engine can actually then become enjoyable because it is crap.
That's Stockholm syndrome.
Listen, I think I just have more fun than you sometimes.
No, it's awful because it has no power unless the turbo's going. When the turbo's going, it still hasn't got enough power, except now it's not got fuel economy either. It's dreadful.
The worst of all worlds.
Yeah, it's
I'm not
utterly and
on about
totally
the Twin Air.
horrendous.
I'm not on about the Twin Air. I'm on about the old Polski Fiat, kind of like the Fiat
Oh,
126.
sorry.
Those
Yeah.
kind of things.
No, I'm getting very confused. Yeah, no, okay, all right. Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
A series engine, of course, classic Mini, Maestro, things like that.
Yeah.
Because of the weird Siamese ports and stuff, that had a very unique sound to it in itself as well.
Yeah, a bit of a thrum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, technologically, the Koenigsegg free. Was it
They
called?
haven't built one for a customer yet, have they? The free valve.
free valve, yeah.
Has a customer car got? Is a customer car out there, or have they just all bought the V8?
Didn't they put the free valve in the Jesko?
I don't know. I pass.
Okay.
No, they're very, very cool and interesting. I think, obviously, the ultimate, I think, is probably, in terms of road going cars, the Ferrari V12, because it's the one where you no longer have to make a choice between, do you want low down torque, do you want a bit of mid-range punch, or do you want top-end fireworks? Because the answer is yes, and you get a great soundtrack at the same time. But
How does it compare to the Aventador?
so actually, it really makes the Aventador feel like a bit of a barge.
Really?
Honestly, like, I need to drive another Aventador. I'm desperate to drive another Aventador, but I've driven early Aventador. I've driven Aventador S, and even though technically I think the S has got a bit more power than the or similar power to the F12, like, it just, you drive it and you go, where is it? Like, where I just don't. It's just so underwhelming. But also, I kind of don't care so much because it's just, well, it does though make a fantastic noise. Like, there's just the sound. I would still have an Aventador on the driveway. Just look at it. But to me, my honourable mention, and I would not ever be forgiven, and rightly so, by our friends across the pond if I didn't, the Chevrolet LS. It is just, do you know what? Us Europeans, we can mock it, but it's so versatile. It's got lots of power where you want it, and you can do basically anything to it, and it's affordable. Like, you can pop into your local auto parts store and go and buy yourself like a 500 horsepower engine just ready to go to drop into whatever you want.
It's where the meme of just LS swap it comes from.
Yeah, and
LS swap all the things.
Do you know what? I spent 2 weeks away recently, and there was only one car where I had to cancel the review for the weather. But I will tell you what it is. It was a 6.2 litre LS, I think LS3, that would be LS3 swapped MX5.
Oh my goodness.
ND generation MX5, which started hilariously as a 1.5.
An ND, one of the new ones.
ND, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's bonkers.
You heard it here first. There's a few of them around the world. I think not very many in this country at all. But yeah, it's an MX5 with 460 horsepower in it.
That's
And
bonkers.
about the same amount of torque.
Do you know what? There was that guy who came to one of the meets with the LS swapped 350Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, I might message him, see if we can
Yeah,
get
do.
that lined up for the spring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think on that bombshell, it's probably time to think about wrapping up.
Absolutely. And don't forget, we know we've missed out so much. So if there's an engine you want to champion, please do email us. And the address for that is landlord@theradiatorarms.com. But as ever, we want to say, of course, thank you for either watching or listening. And don't forget, we are always here first on YouTube at 7 o'clock on a Monday morning, followed exactly, if we can remember, a week later on audio sources such as Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and likely your local librarian has decided she's now going to swap her Mazda 3 with an LS. Goodbye.
Goodbye.